Hi everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. So as a reminder, this is being recorded, so you can watch this later if you're unable to join us today or if you have to leave during the recording. So welcome to the WiSci Girls STEAM Camp pre-program webinar for participants from Ethiopia, Kenya, Namibia, and Swaziland. So first we'll just quickly introduce the World Learning team. Most of you have been speaking with Taylor Carvalho. She's right here. She's the associate that works on the program. My name is Loren Ettinger. I'm over here. I'm one of two program officers that works on the program. The other is Amira Nelson, who will also be speaking to you today. She's right here. And lastly, we have Carrie Graves up at the top, and she is the Youth Programs Director at World Learning. Two other important people for you to know are our colleagues from the Girl Up campaign at the United Nations Foundation. So we have Bailey Laushin at the top, and then Rocio Ortega. And lastly, your counselors. So there are 10 counselors in total. They'll be in charge of cohort groups of 10 each. So we have Eleni and Dalila from Ethiopia, June, Hilya, Justine, and Aislene from Namibia, Lisa from Swaziland, Betty from Kenya, and then Lindsay and Raven from the United States. Each group will be mixed up and comprised of girls from all different countries, so your counselor may not be from your country, but if you have a question that you would feel more comfortable asking the counselor that understands your specific country context, you are always encouraged to speak to any of them. All 10 of the counselors are there to help you. So just a quick rundown of the things that we'll be going over in the webinar today. We'll do a little camp overview. We'll talk about travel, about packing, your accommodations while at camp, communication before camp, during camp, money, and health. And this is a picture on the side here of what it looks like when you're flying into Windhoek.
So please be sure to review the guidebook which we sent you, which has a very detailed overview of what you can expect each day to look like. However, we did want to go over what the overall structure of camp will look like and what to expect. So all participants will depart for Windhoek on June 17th. So everyone from Ethiopia, Kenya, Swaziland, as well as all the local participants will depart on June 17th. And then all of you will depart for home on June 29th. Please keep in mind that some of the participants from Kenya and Ethiopia who are from far outside of the capital area will have additional regional travel, so they will be flying to their capital city the day before on June 16th. You will get a specific email if this applies to you. Once you get to camp, you will have classes led by our volunteer trainers from Intel, Google, NASA, as well as our university host, Namibia University of Science and Technology. You'll also participate in counselor-led activities, the main one being classes in empowerment and leadership that will be led by your counselors every day. You'll have lots of group activities. The main group activity is Culture Night, which is an excellent opportunity for you and your country group to share more about your country's specific culture. Each country will have their own Culture Night, and you'll be given time to provide a presentation on whatever you like that you feel illustrates your country's culture, like dances, presentations, songs, and other things of that nature. We will have one off-campus excursion on June 22nd. As a group, we will go off campus and we'll visit a wildlife conservation facility outside of Windhoek. And that will be a great opportunity to learn more about Namibia's cultures as well as the environment. There will also be a component of the camp called Mentor Hours, which is optional, but it's highly recommended. You will have an opportunity to speak more closely with our various volunteer trainers and essentially learn more about what they do every day. This is your opportunity to build those connections as well as think about and learn about different types of careers in the STEAM fields. Finally, at the end of camp, we'll all come together and form teams, and each team will be in charge of developing their own final project, which you will give a presentation on at the end of camp.
So we want to spend a little bit of time talking about travel. Much of this information is in your participant guidebook, so please, again, look that over cover to cover, really read through it. So first we're going to talk about international travel. So this pertains to participants from Ethiopia, Kenya, and Swaziland. So what are some of the things you should bring with you when you travel? First is your passport. Really make sure, put this on every packing list you have, set alarms for yourself. Just make sure that you do not forget your passport, because obviously you will not be able to board an international flight if you do not have your passport with you. The next is your signed parental consent form. So what this is, it's one of the forms that you and your parent signed at the beginning of camp when you accepted your participation. It's the form that allows, that says that your parents have given you permission to travel abroad, so to leave your country and fly to another country. It's unlikely that anyone will ask you to see it, but it is just good to make sure that you either have the original document that your parents signed, or that you print out the scanned copy that you sent to us, and that you put that in your carried luggage. Make sure it's on your person and not in your checked bag, and you may just want to print one or two of those in case you end up losing the form while you're at camp, because you'll also want it to travel home, so to leave Namibia to go back to your home country. Next, we would recommend printing a copy of your electronic flight ticket. So this is something you'll receive once you check in for your flight online. They'll give you a copy of your boarding pass, and it's not necessary that you print it when you actually go to the airport. The flight agent will, when you check in, print you a physical boarding pass, but it is nice if you have access to a printer to print out the electronic ticket in advance. That'll have information like the time that your plane boards, so the time that you need to get on the plane, the time the plane actually leaves, how many hours will be in transit, and it has all of your confirmation number and your name on it, so it's just good to have peace of mind to have all that information printed out. But again, if you do not have a printer, that's okay. They will give you a boarding pass at the airport. Swaziland participants, you have already received instructions by email, but you will have additional documents that you'll need to bring with you to transit through South Africa. If you have any questions, please reach out to WiSci Camp at worldlearning.org about that. As a reminder, all of those forms are due by June 1st. Next, your chaperone will provide you with a copy of your visa to enter Namibia. So this will be a really easy process, and what it'll look like is your chaperone, who is a member from the U.S. Embassy in your country, they will receive an electronic copy of all of the letters saying that you've been approved to travel to Namibia and that they can issue you a student visa on arrival. And your chaperone will print out those documents and give you the copy so that you can hand your passport and your visa letter to the Immigration and Customs officer when you land in Namibia. Your chaperone will be with you the whole time, so you don't have to worry about remembering all this stuff. They'll make sure to help you get through. It'll be a really easy process. The last thing that we'd recommend you bring is lots of snacks. So there will be food provided on the plane, but it's a long time and you may have food that you prefer to eat. So packing good, easy snacks with you, both for when you're hanging out in the airport, before and between flights, and for while you're on the plane, is always an excellent idea. We've recommended some snacks, which may or may not be available in your country, but some sort of general ideas in your participant guidebook. So some of the things that you should expect when you travel, we're aware that for many of you, this is the first time that you're getting on a plane and the first time that you are leaving your country. So every airport experience is a little bit different, but there are standard things that you can expect when you travel. One of those is security checks, and this really isn't anything that you should be nervous or afraid of. The security is just there to make sure that everyone entering and exiting the airport is doing so in a safe way, and that everyone is safe within inside the airport facilities. So what this will look like is you'll have to show your passport and your boarding ticket. They'll make sure that your names match. They'll put your bag through an X-ray machine, and they'll have you walk through a metal detector. Again, all really standard. Don't be concerned if you beep through the metal detector. It's likely from a piece of jewelry or maybe your shoes. Each airport is a little bit different, but the agents are usually very friendly if you are friendly, and will help you get through security very easily. They may also ask you some questions as you're exiting or entering a country. The best thing to remember here is, again, to just be kind and courteous, answer their questions, and don't be too nervous about it. They're not trying to trick you up or get you in trouble. They're just making sure that you're going where you say you're going and that you're coming from where you said you come from. So you'll go through customs and immigrations 2 times. You'll be stamped into Namibia when you land in Windhoek, which will be with your student visa. When you're departing Namibia, you'll get a stamp to say that you've exited the country, and then you'll go back through your own country's customs and immigration to say that you have returned home. So again, this is a really easy process. You'll be with your chaperone on the way to Namibia, and you'll be with your counselors on the way to your home country. Lastly, we recommend that if you have the ability to, that you check in ahead of time online. This just makes the check-in process at the airport a little bit easier, but it's not required if you don't have access to the internet from wherever you are traveling from. It's totally fine to arrive at the airport and check in at the airport the day of. We recommend that you arrive at the airport 3 to 4 hours in advance. A little more about international travel. You have a luggage allowance of up to about 23 kilos, but we would highly recommend that you leave extra room for souvenirs and camp memorabilia. While you probably won't purchase a ton of souvenirs, you will be receiving a lot of very exciting things from World Learning, from our partners, and you'll definitely want some space, both physical space and weight space in your luggage for all of those goodies. Additionally, you do need to be able to carry your own luggage. So even if your bag is 23 kilos, but you are unable to pick up 23 kilos, that means that your bag is too heavy. People will not carry your luggage for you, and it's likely that you'll have to carry it up a flight or 2 of stairs in the dormitories. So make sure that you are completely fit and able to carry your luggage. Important documents, we recommend that you make multiple copies in case you lose them. So these documents would be a copy of your passport. I personally like to put a copy of my passport in every one of my bags. So that would be in my purse or my personal item, in my carry-on bag, and in my checked luggage, just to make sure that if anything happens, I have a copy of my passport in every conceivable location. The other documents would be that travel abroad consent form, any documents sort of about the camp. For the Swazi girls, the additional documentation that you need to transit through South Africa, I would have multiple copies of that. And lastly, any prescription medication that you're bringing with you, you should have copies of the prescription information in case an airport security agent asks to see them. For domestic travel, so these would be girls traveling from elsewhere in Namibia to the Namibia University of Science and Technology campus in Windhoek, you will also need to bring your signed parental travel consent form. You are not traveling abroad, but we do just want to make sure that you have documentation that your parents have agreed that you can leave your house and travel to Windhoek on the off chance that someone asks you. WiSci Camp will be providing support for ground travel to camp for Namibian participants who live 65 kilometers or more outside of Windhoek. That support will come through the U.S. Embassy in Windhoek, who will be helping to purchase bus tickets or arrange whatever is the best form of travel for you to get from your home to campus if you are 65 kilometers or more. Namibian participants who live within 65 kilometers or closer to Windhoek will arrange their own travel to and from camp. So you will not be receiving any support from the embassy or the WiSci team. You will need to bring yourself to camp and from camp. So how will you get to Namibia? On June 16th, selected Ethiopian and Kenyan participants who need regional flights to Addis or Nairobi will fly to those cities from their regional airports. These participants will be staying overnight at a hotel with a chaperone. You will receive specific instructions if you are one of these participants. So don't worry, if you haven't received instructions, that's because you are not one of those participants. You will all have detailed information if you require a regional flight. For everyone else, on June 17th, Ethiopian, Kenyan, and Swazi participants will meet their chaperone at a designated time at the airport and travel as a country group to Windhoek, Namibia. On June 17th, the Namibian campers will travel independently to the NUT campus. And again, campers from Namibia who need to travel by air or bus to Windhoek will receive specific instructions from WiSci before you need to arrive. Once you get to Windhoek, the counselors, World Learning staff, and Girl Up staff will be waiting to welcome you to camp. Please make sure that you're checking your email frequently for detailed instructions and itineraries in the next couple of weeks. It's really important that you have access to the email that you have been corresponding with us, because we will send you lots and lots of very important info. So packing for camp, there is a detailed packing checklist, but we do want to highlight a couple of the items. Again, that packing checklist can be found in your guidebook. So one thing you'll need to bring is a towel. So this will be the towel that you can use when you take a shower. We will not be providing a towel for you, so make sure you bring one. You may also wish to bring waterproof sandals or flip-flops for the shower. These will be shared dormitory shower facilities, so each shower is its own individual stall, but they'll be used by multiple people. So if you feel more comfortable having a pair of shoes on, we would recommend you do that. You'll need to bring all of your own toiletries. So this would be soap, shampoo, hairbrush, toothpaste, any of the personal toiletries that you like at home. We will not be providing any toiletries for you. Amira mentioned earlier culture night. So you may wish to bring a couple of items for culture night. So that may be an outfit that you think displays your culture, or a flag, or any sort of memorabilia that you want to share with participants that don't know about your country's culture. Also make sure that you bring any medication. So this would include prescription medication, and then any regular medication that you like if you know that you like to take a specific medication when you have a headache or when you have cramps. We'll have some of that stuff available, but it might not be the brand that you prefer. So we would recommend that you bring any specific things that you like with you. That your medications, your passport, and your values should all be kept in your carry-on bag. So anything that you would be sad if you lost, or sad if something happened to it, should be in your carry-on bag and with you at all times. In terms of clothing, it is winter in Namibia, so that means it will not be hot summer weather. So make sure you bring layers for both hot weather at the height of the day in the sun, and cooler weather early in the morning and in the evening time. Lastly, you do not need to bring sheets or blankets for the bed. Those will be provided for you, but you will need to bring your own pillowcase. We'll provide you a pillow, but there will not be a pillowcase on the pillow, and you are required to bring one. You cannot sleep on the pillow without a pillowcase.
So we imagine that you all are curious about where you'll be staying during WiSci Camp. So you'll take a look. We have a picture, an example of one of the dorm rooms that campers will be staying in. You will all stay together in an on-campus dormitory style accommodation. It's a very short walk from the main campus, where you'll be having all your classes and other activities. For the parents out there, that dormitory is secured by its own security wall, and it will be staffed by security guards 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Each of you will be staying in a dorm room with a roommate. As you can see, there's 2 beds there, and then there'll also be some common space in the dorm for you all to hang out. This is a dormitory just for campers and counselors. As Loren mentioned, there are shared bathroom and shower facilities. So like a dormitory style shower and bathroom where there'll be separate stalls, but all of the bathroom and shower stalls are located in the same area. And finally, there is no Wi-Fi. There's no internet available in the dormitories, although you have plenty of access to Wi-Fi on the main campus where you will be spending the majority of your time while at camp. On to communication. You all have already received quite a bit of communication from us, but we wanted to be sure to go over what additional communication to expect from us and what communication will look like during camp. So we did just send out a camper guidebook. We sent that out last week, so please do let us know if you have not received that. That contains a lot of really useful and helpful information, as well as tips and things like that. Please disregard that second item about mandatory PDO. That will depend on which country you are from. So if there is a pre-departure orientation for your country group, you will get a specific email about that. Finally, check your email regularly. That is the main way we will be communicating with you. And if you have any questions, be sure to email us at wisicamp@worldlearning.org. Now, during camp, communication will look a little bit different. Camp is very intensive, so there won't be a lot of time for you to be in communication with your friends and family back home. However, each country will have its own specific time for calling home. So each country will have a specific time, typically in the evening, when we will provide a station for you to be able to reach your parents and speak to them. Stay tuned for the day that you will be assigned. We will be providing that a little bit closer to the start of camp. You're also welcome to talk with your friends and family through Skype or email. There will be internet available as well as computers available at camp. But again, please be mindful that the camp schedule is pretty intensive, so there will be limited free time for you to Skype and email. Finally, we will be establishing an emergency local phone number for parents and guardians. So we will provide this phone number once it's been set up prior to camp. We will provide you with that phone number if parents or guardians need to reach us in the case of emergency. And finally, a kind reminder that no visitors are permitted at camp. Particularly wanted to mention that for our Namibian participants, no one is allowed to visit the camp, and that includes just coming to drop items off. And yeah, no visitors, no parents, no friends allowed to visit the camp. So you might be wondering how much money you need to bring to camp. All meals, accommodations, in-country transit, and air travel. So in-country transit for anybody living 65 kilometers outside of Namibia, and for all of the participants from Kenya, Ethiopia, and Swaziland. It's all covered by the program. So you really will not need a lot of money during this program. Campers will have a really limited opportunity to go off campus, essentially just for that excursion on June 22nd. So you may just want to have a small amount of money available to purchase souvenirs, or a little bit of money available in cases of emergency while you're traveling. There's no ATM or bank on campus at NUST. So if you do want to change your money into either Namibian dollars or South African rand, both of which are accepted in Namibia, we would strongly encourage you to complete foreign exchange either at the Windhoek Airport or in your home country before you actually travel to Namibia, because there will not be any opportunity to complete foreign exchange transactions once you arrive and proceed to camp. Finally, a few details about health and safety. The situation will depend on whether you are an international participant, so from Ethiopia, Kenya, or Swaziland, or a Namibian participant. All international participants will receive international health and accident coverage. That coverage is provided through a company called Cigna as well as a company called Lloyd's, and we will be emailing you to provide you with the documentation of that international insurance coverage before camp. Additionally, all international participants will receive international SOS coverage. This is a global service that assists travelers during their travels. They do things like coordinate with health insurance company and identify health resources in the country where you are traveling. And we will be providing information about that policy as well through email. For Namibian participants, since they are not traveling internationally, they will be using their own private medical aid, if applicable, or local public services. For all campers, there will be resources available on campus. So there's an on-campus nurse during work hours, and that person will be available to help you if you have minor illnesses or injuries. Outside of the working hours, international participants will have access to a private hospital if needed, and Namibian participants will also assist you to visit the hospital if that is something that is appropriate. I do want to encourage all of you, if you feel ill at any point during the camp, to please tell your counselor or tell any one of us. We're there to support you, and we want to make sure that you feel as well as you can and you can participate fully in the camp. But if you're feeling ill, we also want to make sure that you get appropriate medical attention. So before you go, for international participants, we have a few tips. One is to access International SOS, which provides health guidelines for travel to Namibia. We would also encourage you to review the CDC recommendations. The CDC is a U.S. organization, but they provide recommendations on types of vaccinations that you may consider getting before you travel to Namibia. And finally, we encourage you to speak with a doctor in your home country regarding what vaccinations they think that you should have in order to travel, and to make sure that you refill, for all participants, to make sure that you refill any needed prescription medication that you need while at camp.
As a reminder, for participants traveling from Ethiopia or Kenya, when you land in Namibia and you go through customs and immigration, you may be asked to show proof of your yellow fever vaccination. And they may or may not ask you this, but if they do ask you and you do not have proof of your vaccination for yellow fever, they can refuse to let you enter the country since you are traveling from countries with yellow fever. So again, we do recommend that you bring your yellow fever card with you and that you get the yellow fever vaccination, because we cannot guarantee that the Namibian government will let you enter the country if you have not received that vaccination coming from Ethiopia or Kenya. So this is all that we've planned for today's webinar. If you have any questions, we'll take a couple of minutes. You can ask the questions via chat. Again, make sure that you have selected the option that says send to all participants. We'll just see if there are a couple of questions, and if not, we'll end the webinar here, and you can always email the questions to us to wisicamp@worldlearning.org. Any questions? Okay, all looks like there are no questions right now. Again, you can always ask us via Facebook or email, and we look forward to seeing you in Namibia. And again, make sure you're checking your email. We have lots of important information that will be coming to you in the next few weeks. Thank you so much.